This is House 2, the second story on our 31 spooky movies of Halloween. First off, A+ for that title. Truly inspired, and it works on both levels. The original House is a classic, a movie that few people seem to know about these days, that takes the haunted house movie and turns it into an experience that will make you laugh your posterior off 1 minute and then scream your face off the next. It's a virtual cornucopia of scares, neat ideas, likable characters, creepy makeup, and wonderful special effects. And then we have House 2, which makes some unexpected choices, but ends up unique unto itself. A movie where you actually don't have to watch Part 1 to understand and enjoy Part 2, and while some may see this as a disappointment, as they wanted to continue the paranormal adventures of Roger Cobb, which, honestly, did we? Did you see House 4? I see this movie as an exciting new chapter in a film series that wanted to establish itself as an anthology before being dragged back to a disappointing direct sequel, which is frustrating. I think Halloween knows what I'm talking about, don't you, buddy? Yeah, you do. Stupid audience pressure. You people killed The Rise of Skywalker, you know. House 2 follows Jesse and Charlie, a pair of yuppies. Oh my gosh, I love the 80s. Who move into a mansion that has been in Jesse's family for generations, and where his parents were murdered, which is probably not a good sign. While there, they discover that Jesse's great-great-grandfather is buried with a priceless crystal Aztec skull, and decide to dig up his body, which is a totally normal thing to do. It's then that they discover that Gramps isn't quite dead, and that an evil, mysterious force is at play that splits the mansion across time and space. I told you this was a dramatic departure. So, how does House 2 stack up against its predecessor that I crowed about last Halloween? Not well, I'm afraid. Listen, by itself, House 2 is not a bad movie. It's a silly, action-adventure fantasy comedy, and it's more than adequate. And Royal Dano is just so darn enjoyable and endearing as Gramps, a character who is actually one of my favorite zombies of all time. I mean, he's right up there with Tarman. That is high praise. The problem comes from the fact that the movie is a fantasy action-adventure comedy and not a horror movie. I wouldn't call it a complete change of genre, as the first movie was a horror comedy as well, but it seems to drop the horror element, or at least diminish it altogether, which is very disappointing. Where House playfully danced the line separating comedy from horror and managed to do it very well, House 2 falls right onto the comedy side without hesitation or apology. In many ways, this actually feels like a family film at times, like Labyrinth. I mean, for goodness sakes, there's a cowboy zombie and a caterpillar Muppet. This movie had no intention of being scary, the result being a movie that works as a goofy adventure, but never succeeds in being anything more than forgettable matinee fluff. Plus, let's not forget there was an entire army of fans of the first movie who went into this one thinking that they were going to get a film on the same level as the first House, only to be seriously disappointed, and then spread the word of mouth that House 2 wasn't worth seeing. House 2 is really not aware enough to be a parody, and it's not smart enough to be a satire, and so it's just silly. It does take a kitchen sink approach in throwing everything against the wall to see what sticks, only to discover, much to its horror, that the wall is made of Teflon. It's just too much of a contrast. Now, while House 2 is imaginative and does go places with its story and climax that I wasn't expecting, and good for them, by the way, it's nowhere near as well written or executed as the original, and even though it has the ambition, it doesn't have the means to reach those ambitions. I'm just gonna say it again, even though it sounds like I'm trashing this movie, I'm really not. I enjoyed it. but I enjoyed it as the silly, stupid action-adventure fantasy that it is, not the silly, stupid action-adventure fantasy horror satire that it rightfully should have been if it was written with more care. Still, if you loved House and want to check out what this movie series could have been if it had been more successful, by all means, join me and add House 2, the second story, to your list of 31 spooky movies of Halloween. But I'm drawing the line at House 3. Nope, 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 nobody, nope, nope, nope.